Okay, in this next section we're going to be looking at string skipping. We're going to be looking at an excerpt from a song that I wrote called Jump to Lightspeed, which is off my first album, Machine. And it basically just incorporates a sequence that I've adopted to string skipping over the years that I've been doing this technique. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at that sequence, and then we're going to move it through some different arpeggio shapes and see how it goes. We'll just have some fun with it. Okay, here we go. Okay, if we take a look at the first arpeggio in this section, it's an E minor arpeggio, and instead of being sweeps, tapped or anything like that, it's using this technique of string skipping. What I'll do is I'll just play the arpeggio slow, and then we'll break it down and look at the sequence. Okay, this arpeggio, we're going to start with our second finger on the 14th fret on the D string, and then we're going to play that with a downstroke. Then the next couple of notes will be the 12th fret on the G string, played with an upstroke, and then hammer on fret 16 with our third finger on the G string. Then we'll just repeat that lick. The picking for this is when I start the lick, I play the first note on a downstroke, then play an upstroke on 12, hammer on 16, but then the second time round, I'll just hammer on my second finger onto the 14th fret and then play an upstroke on the 12 and then hammer on 16. So we've got this so far. Okay, after hammering on the 16th fret on the G string for the second time, we'll then be skipping over the B string and playing the 12th fret on the high E string with an upstroke, and then hammering on fret 15, pulling off to 12, hammering on fret 16 on the G, then playing 12 again with an upstroke, hammering on fret 16, pulling off to 12, hammering on 16 on the G again, and then downstroke on 14 and pull off to 12. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll play through that slow so you can get a good grasp of what's happening with the picking and getting a look at the left hand sequence, and then try yourself and put it together. And then what I'll do is I'll play it a bit faster and then up to speed, and then we'll move on to the next example. Okay, I'm going to play that a bit quicker for you. And up to speed. Okay, moving on to the next example. It's still in E minor, but we're just moving up the third note in the arpeggio up to fret 17 instead of 16. And then when we skip over the B string, we'll be playing the 12th fret and the 17th fret. So let me just play that for you slow, and then we'll break it down. So we're using exactly the same pattern as we will be for all these arpeggio examples. But let me just talk you through the first section of this arpeggio just to show you the differences in notes between the first example and this example. Okay, again, this arpeggio, we're going to start on the 14th fret on the D string with a downstroke. So we're going to play 14 on the D, upstroke 12 on the G, hammer on 17, and then we'll play that and repeat that. But I'll be hammering on the second time round on the 14th fret on the D, then playing the upstroke on 12 and hammering fret 17, so it'll sound like this. Then after that, what we'll do is we're skipping over the B string and playing an upstroke on the 12th fret on the high E string, and then hammering on fret 17, then pulling off to fret 12, hammering on 17 on the G string, so skipping over that B string, going back on ourselves with an upstroke on the 12th fret, hammering on the 17th fret, playing the 12th fret with a downstroke, hammering on the 17th fret on the G, and then coming back down to the D on the 14th fret with a downstroke, and then pulling off to 12. So let me just play that example for you slow, so again you can get an idea of how the picking's working, and just to have another opportunity to see the left-hand sequence. Okay, I'll play that a bit quicker for you. And up to speed. Now again, both of these examples rely heavily on legato technique as well as picking. As going back to the legato sections before, as I kind of get quicker with some of these licks, I tend to leave out some picked notes as they're quite hard to squeeze in there with your fingers kind of flying by at lightning speed. So the picking suggestions that I've made are much better for if you want to play this slower. But as you get used to these shapes and sort of speed them up, you might not need to kind of pick all the notes to keep the continuity of the licks going. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play lick 1 and lick 2 back to back so you can hear how they sound together. Okay, the next arpeggio we're going to look at is an A minor arpeggio, still using string skipping, but we're going to go from where we've been starting from the 14th fret and the D string for both E minor arpeggio shapes. We're now going down to the A string on the 12th fret, and we're just going to play the same shape as example 1, but from the 12th fret on the A string. So let me just play that for you slow so you can see what I mean, and then we'll break it down. Okay, so as you can see, it is exactly the same as the shape in lick 1. Let me just talk you through the notes that I'll be using. Okay, we're starting on the A string on the 12th fret with a downstroke. Then we're going to go to the 10th fret on the D string with an up. Then hammer on the 14th fret with the D string. I'd just like to point out that also fingerings are however you want to finger it, basically. So, I mean, I tend to use just these 3 fingers for these arpeggio shapes because, to me, they're stronger fingers, and I seem to be able to get more fluidity out of it. But if you feel like the stretches are a bit too much and you want to use your little finger, then that's no problem. You can do that. But I'll carry on using the fingers that I would use to play these arpeggios, and then it's up to you. Okay, so we've already played the first 3 notes of this arpeggio, starting with a downstroke on the A on the 12th fret, then an upstroke on the 10th fret on the D string, hammering on the 14th fret, and then repeat that again, just with the hammer on, this time instead of picking the 12th fret on the A string. Upstroke on the 10th fret on the D string, and then hammering on the 14. So I'll do that twice, and then skip over the G string, play 10th fret with an upstroke, then hammer on the 13th fret, pull off to 10, all on the B string, skip over the G, and then hammer on 14 on the D string, then go back to the 10th fret on the B with an upstroke, hammer on fret 14 on the D, pull off to 10, then pull off to, then hammer on to 14 on the D, and then downstroke on the 12th fret on the A, and then pull off to 10. So let me just play that whole example slow for you so you can see what's going on like the other examples. Okay, that was a little bit quicker, but I think after the first 2 examples, you're hopefully getting the idea of where this is going. So let me just play this up to speed. Again, some of the pick notes might not be included, so more work will be done by the left hand to ensure those notes get hit in the right places. Okay, I'm just going to play this up to speed for you now. Okay, this next arpeggio is going to be a D major arpeggio, still using string skipping. I'll just play through the arpeggio slow like all the other examples, and then we'll break it down. Okay, this lick is starting on the 12th fret on the D string with a downstroke, then moving to the G string with an upstroke on 11, then hammering on 14 on the G, then repeating that lick, so hammering on this time on the 12th fret on the D string, upstroke on the 11th fret on the G, and then hammering on 14 on the G. And then after that, skipping over the B string, upstroke on the 10th fret, then hammering on 14, then pulling off to 10, hammering on the 14th fret on the G, then an upstroke on the D, hammering fret 14 on the G, pulling off to 11, hammering on to the 14th fret on the G, then downstroke on the 12th fret on the D, and then pulling off to 11 on the D just to finish off the lick. Okay, same pattern as before, nothing different. So let me just play through that slow for you again, and then gradually speed it up to speed. Okay, I'm going to play that a little quicker. Okay, and a little bit faster up to speed. Okay, the last arpeggio in this section is going to be an E flat diminished string skip arpeggio. So it's just going to be a nice turnaround to then go back into the E minor arpeggio to start the whole section off again. So I'll just play it for you slow, and then we'll break it down. Okay, this arpeggio is going to start on the 13th fret on the D string with a downstroke, then onto the G string with an upstroke, then hammering on 14 on the G, then repeating this lick again, hammering on the 12th fret on the D, upstroke on the 11th fret on the G, and then hammering on the 14th fret of the G. Then we're going to skip over the B string again. I'm going to move the first finger up from 10 to 11 now on the high E string, then hammer on 14, pull off to 11, then skip over the B and then land on 14 on the G, then upstroke on the 11th fret on the high E string, then hammer back on 14 on the G, pull off to 11 on the G, hammer on 14 on the G, then downstroke on the 13th fret of the D string, and then pull off to 11. That pull off to 11 isn't really strictly part of that kind of E flat diminished arpeggio. It's literally just a really quick sort of like passing note, so I can kind of get back into the E minor arpeggio. It seems to work, so I've just kind of left it in there. And that's that. So what I'll do is I'll play all the examples back to back, and then I did play this arpeggio section the second time round. The only thing that we do is we'll leave out the A minor arpeggio, then we'll just go to the D major, and then back up to the E again. So I'll play through the whole example slow with both versions, and then I'll speed it up. Okay, now I'm just going to play that a little bit quicker for you. And now I'm going to play that up to speed.